Welcome back to another exciting episode. My name is Josh Kelly, and this is ISVs on Tap. Joining me today is Jerry Abiog with Standard Insights. Welcome, Jerry.
Hey, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So why don't we just dive right into this? So Jerry is the CEO and co-founder of Standard Insights. So why don't you tell me a little bit about how you started the company?
Yeah, so it started back in 2010, 2012. I left the corporate world and did my own thing, helping software companies with sales and marketing initiatives. And one of my clients, this was in the mid 2000s and 10s, was an AI machine learning company, a software company, but that I worked there for a while, but that company failed. And as this company was imploding through serendipitous events, me and a couple other co-founders came together to form Standard Insights. Standard Insights, fundamentally, we are an AI predictive analytics, predictive AI company that helps companies leverage their data to help give them a competitive advantage, build their economic moat, as well as build customized software solutions. And we've been running and gunning since 2018, though the first handful of years was a little bit slow until everyone got to know what AI was. It became the biggest buzzword on the planet.
Yeah, right. AI is quite the buzzword these days, right?
Yeah, blessing and a curse.
No doubt. And I'm sure ChatGPT kind of helped that along.
Yeah, it did. That was, I say the blessing and a curse because blessing, it opened up a lot of doors for us. Curse, because a lot of folks just have unrealistic expectations of what AI can and can't do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm waiting for the predictive analytics, Jerry, for some lottery numbers. So
we're not there yet.
Yeah, let me know, would you? So Jerry, obviously co-founder, owner, he has a couple different solutions under the umbrella. I think one of them is relatively new, but it all falls under that predictive analytics piece. So can you kind of talk about the two different tracks, or at least the main track, and then we'll kind of talk about the second one?
Yeah, so the main track is we were hired a few years back by a packaging distribution company to build them a lightweight modular ERP. And while there are a lot of modular ERPs out there in the market, ours has the underlying factor built on predictive analytics, predictive AI. So we can take all that data that are coming from warehouses, distribution centers, manufacturers, and crunch it basically. So to do inventory predictions, sales predictions, asset maintenance predictions, and many, many other things.
Right on. Okay, so let me just follow up that question, or the first question with this. So when we're talking about predictive analytics and we're talking about inventory control, I would say inventory control, but inventory analysis, right? So when we talk about those things, when would it be applicable for someone to say, hey, Jerry, listen, I need some help with my inventory?
Right.
When would that call generally be made to you?
So if they've got, a minimum of 2 to 3 years worth, of data, because AI is basically, it doesn't matter what AI, it's analyzing past patterns to make future predictions. Mm-hmm. So for us, like 2 to 3 years is a good starting point. Now, if you're a company that has loads of data and a bunch of different spreadsheets, then the more the better that we can start.
Is that a pretty typical use case for you? You have a customer is calling you who's using spreadsheets to track the inventory, or is it still paper, or is it both? What do you see?
Sometimes it's both, man. Right? Sometimes a lot of these companies are still operating in the Stone Ages.
That's bananas to me. We see similar patterns in the warehouse with like a warehouse management system, right? We still have people pick, pack, shipping stuff on a piece of paper. So I know we've talked about this. Can you provide an example, for instance, of let's call it I know we talked about, you said ERP, but let's talk a little bit about what a convenience store would look like and how you could assist with kind of inventory predictive analytics for their
inventory. So for a convenience store, typically a lot of that data resides under point of sale. So in the back of the warehouse, you connect with the ERP. In this case, for a convenience store, you can connect with their point of sale. So now if it's a convenience store that sells beer and wine, and say you've got like 5,000 different beers and wines that you're selling, we can predict to help that convenience store, how many beer or wine or, whatever we're drinking here, how many will sell in a given day, week, or month, and that convenience store can act on it.
Okay.
So they're not leaving empty shelves, so to speak, or ordering the wrong type of beer or wine that's selling, right? They don't have enough, So by being accurate with your inventory and predictability, it helps that convenience store improve their bottom line.
So there's two things here that are sticking in my head when you're talking, right? One is people are doing this currently. Mm-hmm. However, it's being used being done either by paper or maybe a spreadsheet, right?
Correct.
That's the first piece of it. The second piece of it is what you're doing here. The predictive piece has been done historically with spreadsheets and paper. What you're doing is you're taking that piece away. So let's say you have a tremendous employee that's doing this for you. And they bring in Jerry and they say, Jerry, we want you to help us take this process and make it more automated.
Yeah.
So one of the fears, I'm guessing, is people are worried that with AI that people will lose jobs. And I disagree with that statement. But can you kind of touch upon how?
So if that employee is hunkered down, analyzing its spreadsheet, right? If it's like thousands and thousands and thousands of sales orders, that's going to take a lot of time. Mm-hmm. But once you connect the dots and clean the data and starts making predictions of what's going to sell, we're coming up on 4th of July at the time of this taping, that employee can do other more high value tasks, right? Instead of hunkered down being a spreadsheet jockey, if you will.
So we're freeing up all that time that person's using for higher functioning tasks.
Yes.
That's one. Two, this process is going from hours, days possibly, to minutes.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And the other part of this is the predictive piece, which I like. And one of the examples is 4th of July would be a great example, right? What are people typically buying over the 4th of July?
Beer, hot dogs, hamburgers, hot dog buns. So you want to have all that, on hand. Because if you don't have enough hot dog buns, you don't have enough hamburger buns, that convenience store will lose money if you don't have enough in stock.
Right. And another thing that you touched on when Derry and I have obviously talked offline, one of the things on average when you see or you have a company with its analytics, what kind of percentage are you seeing from a saving standpoint on like waste, for instance? So
initially to start, right, because AI gets smarter over time, probably at 20%, right? But that could be big, right? If you're like even take, for example, warehouse, that if you've got $10 million in inventory and say 20% is waste, because there's a study that conducted that average warehouses have 20% waste, so that's $2 million. By implementing a core, robust, predictive analytics solution, you could potentially save, $500,000. Was that 25% of the 2 million? It's never ever going to be perfect, right? I just want to lay that out there. No AI is going to be perfect, but even at 25%, that's a good bit of savings.
$500,000 a year.
Yeah, you go.
That's significant.
Yeah.
That could be R&D.
Correct.
That could be additional employees.
Correct.
That could be additional pieces to the puzzle to help grow your business.
Yeah, expansion, right?
Expansion. Yeah. So that's awesome. That's good to hear. I guess my question is, how do you guys tie into some of these systems, or is there a system that you typically gravitate towards that you work better with? Who and where can you plug this into? Do you work with everybody? Certain things better?
We can plug in almost anywhere if we have a API connectivity to it, and that's a start, right? But that, since we're dealing with a lot of VARs, that VAR has to, I guess, be committed to looking outside of their comfort zone, so to speak, to introduce this sort of solution to their client.
Yeah, because AI can be intimidating, right? Let's be honest.
It is, yeah.
On the initial conversation can be intimidating.
Yeah.
But my guess here, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but if the VAR wants to have that introduction type of conversation, my guess is, Jerry, you're more than willing.
Yeah, we typically have it with the VAR, and a client. And typically I won't, swing for the fences right away. So we know that, a lot of VARs, deal with, say, digitizing the warehouse. What is that? That starts off with scanners and RFID. So that could be, step one of the puzzle. The next step is, now what do you do with all that, RFID data? Well, it can go into our ERP, that we built, especially for the SMBs that may not want to go to the big name ERP. So that's step number 2. Once that's established, layer on number 3, right, which is the predictive analytics. Okay, cool. 1, 2, 3. And step 4, you mentioned the little bit in the intro, we're creating an agentic AI solution to help drive sales. So now you're a VAR. It's not just like, hey, I'm throwing a jab, right? Okay, I sold them the RFID and scanners and printers and the setup, but now you're, jab cross. Now you got the ERP, right? You got left hook with the predictive analytics, and then an uppercut with agentic AI. You don't have to sell it all at once, but doing all this, you just come across to that client, or that VAR does, just in a more consultative way, right? So you got the step 1, okay, get them cleaned up with our RFID and the tools that go around with that. Step 2, the ERP, because that data has to go somewhere. Step 3, you got the data, you layer on predictive analytics. And step 4, layer on the agentic AI to help drive sales.
So let's dive into this agentic AI for a second. Does that help with the sales transaction, in that you have a very specific ask or a sale in mind? Go into a little more detail on the agent.
Yeah, so the agentic AI will help the sales reps for that, because if you're a convenience store or a beer and wine distributor, you got to sell your product, right? So that agentic AI will take, again, a lot of the mundane tasks off the sales reps' plate to help them sell more, and then help them with more higher functioning tasks, right? So you got the predictive AI with the spreadsheets, you've got the agentic AI with, hey, let's take these mundane tasks like writing emails or scheduling meetings. So to say agentic AI will do that for the sales rep. So at the end of the day, it's all about efficiencies, helping drive efficiencies for that company to help them drive both top and bottom line growth.
Yeah, right on. And the underlying theme here throughout the conversations we've had in the past is, you don't have to bite this whole thing off at one time.
Yeah.
You can take small pieces. So we're not taking a whole warehouse or a convenience store or store, whatever, and then throwing all this technology at somebody, because that might not be right for them.
Correct.
Right? So we can take this, let's start with the basics.
Right.
And then, because you said it was modular, then we can just build on and latch onto other pieces.
Yeah. In fact, we can do a paid pilot where we can take the data. Hey, Josh, you own a convenience store or you own a warehouse. Let's get some data from you. Give me 2 to 3 years worth. I don't care if they're spreadsheets. We'll clean it up, right? And then here are the predictions, Josh, for the next, 3, 4, 5, 6 months or until next year. And then at that point in time, you can make a decision if you want to implement this full bore or not.
Yeah, right on. That's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, Jerry, one last question.
Yeah.
So our VAR community watches this. We'll have a lot of people checking this out. So what would you say is an ideal reseller that you'd want to connect with out there?
So a reseller, so if we're looking at the back of the house side of things, who focuses on manufacturers, distributors, suppliers, the SMBs, say maybe 5 to 15 million that you VARs are helping digitize, so to speak. They're on spreadsheets and you're getting them set up with RFID and all that goes with that. That would be our ideal customer. So that VAR, he wants to look at the big picture for those things, not only for their client, but for themselves and what they're likely to earn, because all this doesn't happen in one fall swoop, but there's an opportunity for residual income. And that VAR can go to market with a competitive advantage. Hey, we offer a predictive AI solution. We offer an agentic AI solution, and the other VARs do not.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's awesome. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it. Guys, if you want to reach out to Jerry, please contact me, BlueStar, Jerry. We're happy to get you connected in some form or fashion. You'll see this video on LinkedIn here in probably a few weeks. Jerry, thanks for jumping on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, this is my favorite part. I'm sorry, Jerry. Having you on the show is my favorite part. My 1A favorite part is it's ISVs on tap. So I know Jerry's a Cincinnati guy. He grew up here, local high school legend, at least in his own mind, maybe. But so what's better than a Cincinnati guy with a Cincinnati beer? We got Braxton's, and then you pair that up with La Rosa's Family Pizzeria Lager. Man,
there you go.
That's a winner right there.
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah. Perfect with this hot day.
Yeah, it is hot, man. Would you get it? Anything? You think you'd buy another? You think you'd buy this when you get back?
Yeah, I think so. Can they sell it online? Delivered to Atlanta.
I don't know. Maybe I'll hook you up, Jerry.
All right.
Maybe I'll have to connect up. Actually, don't tell. We might be able to start another Smokey and the Bandit movie.
There you go.
All right, guys. Listen, this is a nice lager. It's La Rosa's Braxton's La Rosa's ale or Pilsner lager. Sorry. And cheers, Jerry.
Thanks
for jumping on the show.